As we start to welcome our newfound traveler best friends from the Nintendo Switch community this summer for the Switch Edition, we know there's got to be a lot of questions about what can the Switch Edition actually do? What's it going to include? How does it run? Etc. And we have a list of everything we know so far about the Nintendo Switch Edition for No Man's Sky, as well as some conjecture for what we think might be happening with it as well. Find out more here in the LZ. My fellow travelers, you have undocked your handheld and arrived in the LZ to play together with us as we develop and put out more information for the No Man's Sky Switch Edition. Today I have a short list of everything I've collected that we could find that we know for sure about the Switch Edition, and of course some speculation at the end of the video, hopefully educated speculation for the release of the Switch Edition and more. So of course, if this experience today is useful for your No Man's Sky Switch Edition experience, well, please pop a like, and I'd like to hear from you in the comments. What do you think is going to happen with that, and your thoughts about today's information? So first point of information, the biggest question was, how in the world is this possible? I know when this was revealed the other day on the Nintendo Direct, without any real justifications or confirmations for what's happening for this edition of the game, and it's been a running meme for the last couple of years that no way could No Man's Sky get ever run on the Nintendo Switch. Well, it's done and it's possible, and the information that we have today is that it is running natively. In the blog post that Sean Murray posted on the No Man's Sky website, confirms that it is in fact running natively and not streaming from elsewhere, which in the trailer, now that we look back, you can definitely tell that it is running natively because it is running in definitely a smaller form factor than what the current existing platforms would provide. The textures are lower res, there's no reflections, the resolution is indeed lower, the frame rate is lower, and there is decidedly less happening on screen versus other trailers. If you've seen other trailers or followed this game since launch, you'll know that the more recent trailers in recent years has a whole jumble of extra things happening for it. We'll touch again on this subject here momentarily. Confirmed information number 2, it's getting all updates. So in the last 5 years since No Man's Sky launched, and of course there's the elephant constantly in the room that it had a decidedly bad launch. Since 5 years ago, the game has received endless updates, some of them several times a year. Most notably, the Next update, the Origins update, the Beyond update, some of the larger updates and some of the huger fanfares, like for instance, the Xbox version launched alongside the Next update, and the PSVR launch launched alongside the Beyond update. And funny enough, relevant to today's conversation, people also said that No Man's Sky could not possibly run on those pieces of hardware. And here we are, looking back together. Item number 3, this is confirmed to be 2 years in development. So they have been working on the Nintendo Switch Edition for No Man's Sky since 2020, and only with a couple of team members. If you don't know much about Hello Games and No Man's Sky, it was developed and built by only like a dozen people. Of course, since No Man's Sky's launch, but there have been other projects that have happened, right? The last Campfire launched a couple of years ago, and now Hello Games has another No Man's Sky level project already in development and ready to be revealed probably any month now, maybe this year, next year. But a couple of team members dedicated their time to getting this running on the Switch. Another fun fact is that the last Campfire was actually only made by a couple of people as well. So Hello Games really knows how to expand and grow their scope with only just a couple of members of people. The next confirmed item is that it was a massive task to get running. Sean confirms in the blog post that it was, quote, a moonshot to get this running, and that some days they felt that it was completely impossible, only for them to come back the next day with some kind of techie magical solution to get it running. Now, I've been made fun of in the past for saying that No Man's Sky could in fact appear on the Switch. It just didn't really confirm or give any specificity to how exactly it would happen. I conjectured years ago that it would be a severely pared down version, maybe like a cell shaded version, graphically and artistically different, but it looks like they pushed as hard as they could to get the existing format of No Man's Sky running on the Switch. Probably not going to come with many of the bells and whistles, but it is in fact running. It was just a huge 2-year-long task to make happen. The next item will be that it will, quote, feel completely at home on docked and handheld modes for the Nintendo Switch. We know that many games do run at higher resolutions. When it is in docked mode, I am hashtag team docked mode myself, unless I got to travel somewhere. But what he's more getting at is the user interface and being completely at home for both of those modes. We'll talk more about the user interface here in a moment. And of course, we already talked about it, but we're talking about a summer launch for the Switch Edition. And now when we say summer in Sean Murray terms, it could definitely mean until the first leaf falls from the tree. Sean has in the past definitely said summer for things and pushed it through August and September. I think even just this last year for our Frontiers update, it came very late summer. So when we say summer, he's giving us a window, and it could appear early summer, midsummer, late summer, not for sure. And then, of course, the last confirmed piece is that more will be shared closer to release. And I want to add to that bullet point. That bullet point does say more to share. So for those of you who are just tuning into No Man's Sky, you're interested in the Switch Edition. Commonly, when new hardware is getting No Man's Sky, or No Man's Sky is new to other types of hardware that was more than just the PS4 back in the day, it launches with an even larger suite of features that we didn't already have as a community, right? So I mentioned the Xbox launch. When that launched a few years ago with the next update, that launched for the Xbox and is probably one of the best updates that the game ever got, in my opinion. Next was just a super hype reveal, great features. There was a lot that was added in that particular update. And then the same for Beyond. Beyond launched shortly after, or about a year after, that gave us compatibility with the PSVR. Fast forward to now for the Nintendo Switch, and we very likely won't even see the newest update give us new features until the launch of the Switch Edition. Now, we could see another smaller update or two, or maybe another expedition or two drop in this time frame, but honestly, I'm not expecting any larger pieces of information or larger updates to happen until right around when the Switch Edition launches too. The next big update will probably come along with the Switch and all other platforms as well. Now, that was the confirmed information, of course, until we started talking about when the speculation for the next big update will happen. But now to the speculation piece, and I want to add an asterisk to this and just say that when I was formulating this list of speculation, I did so hopefully intuitively, after 5 years, 6 years of covering No Man's Sky, and of course some outlying things that could help with the speculation too. But the first item is touch controls and UI preparation for Steam Deck. Now, if you know anything about the user interface for No Man's Sky, you would probably recognize that it is already well primed for touch controls via the Nintendo Switch. So I really can't wait to see how that happens. I want to see how they manage touch controls. That user interface is great. So managing resources and things like that is going to be really cool in the Nintendo Switch. But it also makes me wonder if we're preparing for Steam Deck launch for No Man's Sky 2. No Man's Sky is already really great on PC, so I suspect that it is going to get Steam Deck support, but I would really love to see them implement the Nintendo Switch Touch UI with the Steam Deck too. That would be really rewarding. Another piece of speculation is cross-save and cross-progression. No Man's Sky already has cross-play, but sinfully, it hasn't come with cross-save and cross-progression yet. And if I'm going to scream from the rooftops about any feature that this game should have, now is the time to provide us with cross-progression. There's a lot of us out there that has 1 or even 2 or maybe even 3 copies of No Man's Sky across the available platforms. Now with it hitting the Switch, with us taking the game on the go, maybe I want to play on my PC version where I capture a lot of footage that you're seeing here, but I also want to be able to carry that progression from my PC to my Nintendo Switch through some kind of maybe server upload or server progression or something like that. That would be an excellent feature to have, and now is the time to do it. The next speculation point is I'm wondering if No Man's Sky on the Switch is not going to have multiplayer support. I mentioned previous trailers for other updates that the game has gotten previously, and I'm not seeing them highlighting any multiplayer type of functionality. Normally, you're seeing several folks walking around, doing random things. You do in the Nintendo Switch Edition trailer see some mechs tossing around and doing whatever, but it never really shows players running around and doing their things. So we know that multiplayer implementation for Switch games has not been the best historically anyway, so that kind of lends a little precedence to that speculation, but it's very possible that the Switch Edition may not get the multiplayer and crossplay that No Man's Sky players currently enjoy on the other platforms. And then finally, some speculation that I would love to see and entertain is what kind of crossover content does Hello Games have planned with Nintendo? And of course, Hello Games and No Man's Sky are not strangers to crossover content. Recently, last year, we got the inclusion of the Normandy from Mass Effect. And when the Xbox version of No Man's Sky launched, there was like a special suit or like a special head that was just a giant X. It was weird to see, but that edition of the game did get that. Now, of course, this is where I'm really going to put my feet in the sand and just enjoy pure speculation, but wouldn't it be great if we saw some Star Fox R-Wings flying around in the Nintendo Switch Edition, or maybe some Metroid crossover content? Oh, that would just be so great. Knowing that Hello Games have already done crossover content in the past, I would be interested to see what kind of crossover content and partnership they have with Nintendo for the Switch Edition. Well, friends, that's the only confirmed information and speculation that I have for today. If this video was useful for you, please do drop a like and hang out for future No Man's Sky and video game industry opinion and commentary. Comment below what your thoughts are for speculation. What do you want from the Switch Edition? Are you buying it? Do you even care? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.